So, hello to everybody. Thank you for having me. And this is not about fish or seafood, besides the logo in the corner. I started my career as an electrical engineer with Siemens in 1989, doing some programming. So I had a lot of fun. I feel a lot of sympathy to our first talk today. Did a navigation system before the age of GPS was a consumer gadget. However, things overtook us, so GPS systems became more popular, and what we did, the plug was pulled 6 years after I started. And I was left with two conclusions. First, I don't like others to be able to pull the plug on something I do. And second, I would like to understand everything that makes a product successful instead of not successful. So I changed my job from R&D to product marketing, another division, and started to learn about marketing, strategic marketing. And I was lucky. I was sent by my employer Siemens to several universities to learn the core of an MBA. So I was sent to Stanford and met a guy by the name of Geoff Moore, who wrote a book, Crossing the Chasm. Maybe some of you have heard of this. Crossing the Chasm is about what kind of people are there, how they adopt new solutions, especially if it's a breakthrough innovation. Breakthrough innovation means, or disruptive innovation is the right word. Disruptive innovation means an innovation that needs a change in the behavior of the user of the innovation. So I want to tell you about an innovation that was shown to me by a friend, Thomas Lackner, who was my colleague in doing navigation systems, and he showed me that ugly looking for the designer's switch. And he said, if you push this with your thumb, it generates the electricity just with the push of your finger to transmit a signal to a receiver to control the light. So here's like the backside looked. So that's really for engineers. And he asked me, what do you think? Can we do a business out of this? Thomas was just starting up an incubator within Siemens, in Siemens Corporate Research, to take technology that is unused inside Siemens for several reasons to a business. And he was looking for advice because I was then in a consumer product business and cell phone business of Siemens. What can we do with this? So shall we develop products and put them on do-it-yourself shelves? Or shall we just use the know-how, put all this to patents and license the business? And I thought, I don't believe in either of these two ideas. Because the license business of things that are unproven, nobody has ever seen such a thing, hardly works. And do-it-yourself shops, you need tons of money to establish a new brand nowadays. So that won't work. We thought about something else. We thought about we need to slide this into other products. And I will show you now how we designed this business, how we struggled, what the benefits are, because that, of course, is another question. You need technology, but what to do with it? Where's the problem that is solved? I want to tell you this story. With my history, of course, the first thing that I was thinking was cool technology, but I already got hit by visionary things. So is there a business out there? To detect this or to learn about this in a fast way, we decided to go to the next trade show of wiring accessories. Wiring accessories is everything to switch on lights for sockets and switches and everything around this stuff. And to pretend we have a company. So we invented the name Ocean, which is the ocean of unused energy, because there's energy everywhere. When you push a button, for example, that's energy. We developed the first version of the logo here of a dolphin, because a dolphin is a smart animal, swims faster than the energy transmits in his body. We went to this trade show and got a tremendous feedback. The best technology, the best innovation on the show. And I said, okay, looks like people are willing to pay money for this, so let's go, and found a company. Not on my own, of course. We were 5. The 2 guys here, Oliver in the front and Frank on the very right side, the inventors from Siemens Corporate Research. Then Andy, who was with me in Stanford and at the MIT to learn how to set up a new business, either inside a large corporation or outside in the greenfield. And Armin here, second from right, who was working for this incubator. So his task was to develop a business model and a business plan. And the first tasks were, so what is a business plan we do? What is the market we address? What are the USPs? All the usual stuff. And where do we get the money from? Because it was very clear that Siemens would not fund the development from these rough prototypes to a product that you can put on a shelf. So we founded an Ocean in October 2001, and the first and most important task was fundraising, and 6 months later, it was just after 9/11, so it was not easy to do any fundraising. But 6 months later, we were able to raise our first 5 million in venture capital, and we could start to develop the first products. And we decided that we do a business model where we slide into established brands. So what you see here on the top half of the circle, this is a light switch here on the left-hand side, remote control, temperature control on the right side, and an occupancy sensor. We can harvest energy from the push of a finger, and we can harvest energy using solar cells. So a small solar cell, like on the automatic wristwatch, makes the system work 24/7. And we use established brands because they own the channels and they have the reputation to take in such a new technology. Of course, on the other side, on the receiver side, you need something as well. So there's some electronics to control the lights or the air conditioner or whatever. So within roughly 12 months, we developed the first products, identified the first customers, first 2 or 3 customers to do those products around the circle, and looked for the first building to deploy it. Our idea was, naively, that we do our technology, sell it to these companies that establish brands in the building industry, and they do the rest. We just ship tons of products. So it didn't work like this. So the first thing we did was to get a first bigger building identified as a pilot, as a reference case to talk about. Coincidentally, Bosch Siemens Home Appliances built a new headquarter. This is the first office building totally built according to Feng Shui rules, and we wanted to get into this. The first question the facility manager asked us, where is this working for 10 years? We said, you know, that's new technology. Nowhere. And he said, that's not good news. We normally only use things that are 10 years proven. We could use our relationship with Siemens and create the necessary trust that they installed. You can see here on the right-hand side what you then install on the wall, light switches from our customer Piha and a room thermostat from our customer Thermostat. They installed this in the complete building, so they developed the trust in us. They still like us very much. So we wrote a press release about this, and we talked about this, and we thought, so now things would move. Unfortunately, as you tried to show in this picture, the future was a little bit more thorny. So we were selling some product, but more in the 500s per month and not in the 10,000s per month, which was our original business plan. So our business plan fully broke apart. We had to think about what can we do. We need to start another fundraising. We needed more capital to get this into the market and to do more development, to polish the technology. And rethink how much of an innovation is this. For us coming, myself, I was in the cell phone industry before with Siemens. So to substitute a wire from a light switch from here to there seems easy. For installers who have done 75 years of opening walls, pulling wires, it was obviously a more dramatic change. So the complete industry was, or the customers were very reluctant to change. They were willing to try here and there and then wait a little bit. Now I read another book from a guy named Rogers on diffusion of innovation, and in the hindsight it's very clear to me, people want to try out things. So innovations that can be easily tried have a much easier way than innovations that need a high investment or high commitment or hard to pull it back. So if you want to try Facebook, you just join it, and if you don't like it, you stop it, and that's it. But if you install a building and you don't pull wires and you fear that it doesn't work afterwards, you're stuck. So therefore, the level of confidence that is needed has to be much higher. So the task was to narrow the market segment and to make those people that are, Geoff Moore calls them the pragmatic crowd, feel confident. A pragmatist is somebody who only uses things that others of his peer group have already used and tell him, I have tried this, it works, and I have tried it, it works. And then if 3 or 4 of those tell him, then he says, okay, seems I can use this. That's a pragmatist. And most people in this industry are pragmatists. So what we did then, with limited resources, of course, so we tried to leverage our marketing. We had a history of winning awards for cool technology. Already before Foundation, the technology colleagues, Frank and Oliver, got in the finals of the German Future Award that is awarded by the German president, federal president. And we learned that if we apply for awards, we get a lot of press and a lot of publicity. So we won a lot of awards in the meantime. We did a lot of press work. Mainly it's linked to each other. So if you win an award, for example, become a tech pioneer of the World Economic Forum, then the Time magazine features you, or featured me in that case. We started our own magazine, which we call Perpetuum. And in this magazine, we tell the story of our customers. So we have the peers talk to each other to build this trust. And we circulate now 12,000 copies of this magazine in German language twice a year, and another, I think, 4,000 in English language so far. And that's a very successful tool, not only for the printed, circulated. We want to be different. So we said we're not sending out just newsletters on email because that's perceived as spam mostly. But this is a high quality, tangible product, and it's perceived as a value by our customers. And we go to trade shows. Our industry loves trade shows. So 85% of the decision makers in building automation go to trade shows to build their opinion and to learn about new things. So all those things helped us to grow the business, but it was clear to us, one important thing I forgot, we visited specifiers. Specifiers are subcontractors of the architect, and they do all the ductwork of the electrician, of the electricity and the air conditioning and heating, all those things. And they are important in the value chain because they write then the tenders, what to implement in a certain building. So we visited at least 200 of the guys. In the first year, one-on-one. In the second year, we did road shows to get them to put us into the tender. And we got success on this, that big building projects like SAP headquarters, they requested in the tender, you have to do this according to the Ocean standard. But it was clear to us that we can only do this in Central Europe around Germany. We don't speak French very well, we don't speak Italian very well. UK besides downtown London, too far, logistics impossible or too costly. Not impossible, but too costly, so it's not scalable. So we needed an idea, how can we scale the approach to educate the complete value chain, to build the trust and to get perceived as a standard. That's what we wanted to do. And to achieve this, we founded a non-for-profit organization, the An-Ocean Alliance. And the An-Ocean Alliance has the purpose to enhance energy conservation for green buildings. So it's not about radio and energy harvesting, it's about energy conservation for green buildings. We founded this together with our customers, and the idea behind this is, which was clear to us already 2001, but nobody was interested in installing electronics for energy saving, that buildings consume most of the energy. So in all developed countries, buildings consume approximately 40% of total energy, which is twice of cars. And buildings are mostly technically outdated. They have been not up to date the moment they have been built. And for example, in Germany, more than 2/3 of all buildings are older than 30 years. So that's really outdated. And there is a big potential in saving energy in using sensors. So the kind of gadgets I showed you before, like an occupancy sensor, when the last person is leaving the tent, the light is automatically switched off 2 minutes later. Simple, but saves 30% of energy. Or a daylight sensor, where you detect the amount of light coming through the windows, and if there is sufficient light from the outside, you don't need the lighting on the window side, on the window sill. You can just switch it off or dim it. The same is true for temperature. If you have a sensor that monitors when a window is opened, you can switch off the heating, 10% of energy saving. So the more you know about the status of a building, the more energy you can save. So we founded this alliance together with our customers as a non-for-profit organization, and now we have more than 150 members globally. And the purpose of this alliance is to create a global standard on the radio communication. The idea is to have interoperable products, so several vendors supplying this ecosystem of energy harvesting wireless. That's how we call our industry. So create a global standard, promote the solution, educate the channels. We get invitations to speak at all major events, and it makes a large difference if I got invited, because I'm then from a company trying to sell something. Whereas the chairman of the An-Ocean Alliance, which is a non-for-profit organization, is invited and speaks to an audience, because then somebody is speaking who is enhancing the status of the world. We do biannual member meetings. This is one last year in Berlin, with a lot of attention from members all over the world. And we join on trade shows. I earlier said trade shows are important in our industry, and there's a correlation between the size of the booth and the perception of the exhibitor, which is a no-brainer. And together with our members, we could more than double the size of our booth without doubling the cost for each individual, because we just collected the money and the space for everybody. And that makes a difference. So we are perceived regularly as a much bigger company than as we are. And that again helps to build the trust that is so desperately needed, because it's all about trust. It's a social phenomena, the same we heard here on the first day. So people follow what other people do. So that starts to work out very nice. And right now we have 150 OEM customers. OEM means original equipment manufacturers, so companies that make these gadgets to control lighting and air conditioning. And more than 100,000 buildings are touched. You see here in the middle, that's this Feng Shui building I showed in the beginning. Hotels. Hotels are very interesting for retrofit, because you don't want to open the walls when you retrofit a hotel under full operation, which is the standard way for many retrofits. And you can add energy conservation very easy. For example, with the same energy that I generate by pushing a button, I could use it by sliding in a key card. So you just add a wireless key card next to the door, and when you slide in the key card, the lights and the air condition starts working, and when you take it out, it's off. And that retrofit can be done during the time where the maid is changing the linens. So fast return on invest, 2 to 4 years, and no interruption of business. So now we start taking off, and there's still a lot of work to do. But I just want to sum up what we did. So you need a market segmentation. We started with flexible office space. People want to rearrange the office space according to the organization of the business. That was our first building. And later we are now widening it up to hotels and in general to the selling proposition of energy conservation. You need to talk to all stakeholders. So in our case, that's the manufacturers of products, it's the wholesalers, the installers, and the architects and specifiers as important influences. Case studies have been crucial because case studies tell the story to peers. Peers being again specifiers, facility managers, architects. Our industry likes trade shows, so that's important to be present. We do something like 10 trade shows a year at least. Cost-effective communication, because money is always limited. Press work. Our customer magazine, we use now the content of our customer magazine for our web, for a newsletter. In advance of publishing in our own magazine, we do press releases, so we can reuse the same thing many times. And it's a focus point for us and for our customers, because we don't write all the stories. We collect stories from our customers and our customers' customers. Apply for awards. That's very efficient, and with new things, there's a high chance you get some awards. And we made it scalable with founding this non-for-profit organization. I think that's very important if you want to establish a new ecosystem. You need to rally people and to reposition the whole thing. And the final goal is get perceived as a big organization, because that's a prediction that you become a big organization. Thank you.